now for my first guest this morning, who has written a new thriller that shows us the power of the personal computer. Cory Doctorow is a New York Times best-selling author, and his latest book is called Picks and Shovels, which centers around 1986 San Francisco and Silicon Valley. And Cory joins me now. Welcome to New Day.
Thanks for having me.
Yes, and so you were actually on the show back in 2017. And how has your take on writing changed since the last time we saw you?
Well, look, I write when I'm anxious, so the lockdown was very good to me. I wrote 9 books.
What? Wow.
Yeah, so I spent that. I live in LA, so I spent the whole season, years, in my hammock in the backyard, writing all day and pretending the rest of the world didn't exist. And so I've been out on tour since 2022 with one book after another, 3 last year, 2 this year.
Writing on a hammock, though, sounds like a vibe.
It's pretty good. I actually, maybe TMI, I had my cataracts fixed and I had my vision fixed so that I don't need glasses to see my computer, but only when I'm in my hammock, when my laptop's on my knees. So I've made some permanent lifestyle decisions here.
Well, it's working. You're putting out the books, and your new novel is called Picks and Shovels. What does that title mean?
Well, you know, every grifter in every tech bubble says, we're not trying to make money doing the thing, because everyone knows the thing is a scam. No one's going to make money with AI or whatever. What we're doing is we're selling the picks and shovels to the gold miners who are going to die in the mountains. And those are the guys who make money. And so every grifter has got this pitch. We are safe. We're not trying to chase the bubble. We're trying to chase the people who are chasing the bubble. We're the smart money. And this is about people who think they've got the smart money in the era of the weird and heroic PC, when no one knows what PCs are for, no one knows who's supposed to make them, no one knows who's supposed to buy them.
Wow. And this book takes place in 1986, like we said, in the Bay Area. What made you want to write about that place and time specifically?
Well, look, I think we can all see that tech has gone very wrong. We have living in a world where we have 5 giant websites filled with screenshots of text from the other 4 run by guys who do Nazi salutes. It's a weird time to be alive, right? And I was around in those days. I was a computer kid. And I remember the hope and the excitement of the computers from those days. And now that I've spent 25 years working for the Electronic Frontier Foundation on digital human rights and tech policy and competition, I can really see how some of the seeds of that platform rot were planted back in those days. And I thought, there's a productive story to be told that's a thriller, it's kind of cracking, high-tension adventure, but that also reveals how the place that we got to now was a trajectory that we've been on, you know, since the Reagan years.
Yeah, and how did Silicon Valley really impact San Francisco?
Well, certainly the city has always been swept by waves of different kinds of people. You know, it starts off as a fortress town because it's got a great defensible harbor, which makes it a Navy yard, which makes it a center for electronics because you get radar, so you get a high-tech industry. It's where the Navy discharged all the gay soldiers, so it became a hub of like bohemian, sex-inclusive queerness, and then it goes through all these tech bubbles because it's got Stanford and all these universities associated with the naval high-tech building. And at each time you've had one group of people forcing out the next group of people, the kind of waves of gentrification, things that people in Seattle know very well. Shout out to all those people who work at Amazon and Microsoft, and various uneasy truces. And of course, just working in the tech sector does not make you a callow, techno-solutionist. There are lots of people who've held the line for, I think, a couple of decades in tech on trying to make tech human-centric. And because tech workers were in such high demand, right? You could quit your job and walk across the street and get another one. Tech workers could tell their bosses to go to hell. And I think, now that we've had about 500,000 tech layoffs in about 30 months, we no longer have tech workers holding the line. And that's bad news, especially now that we also don't have competition. We have regulatory capture. You can't do interoperable solutions and make your own apps that bypass the App Store or whatever. So we live now in a world where, like, what tech bosses say, go.
Yeah, we really do. And I want to talk too, you have, this novel is partially dedicated to women who made the internet. How did that influence you when writing this book?
Well, I read a wonderful book when researching this book by Claire Evans called Broadband. That's the secret unearthed history of women in tech. And the story revolves around a fight between 2 tech companies. One sounds like a joke. It's run by a Mormon bishop, a Catholic priest, and an Orthodox rabbi. But what it actually is it's a predatory pyramid selling scam that's using faith groups groups to sell stuff, and these PCs that they're selling are designed to lock in people and extract all the money from them. They only take special floppy drives, they only take special floppy disks, they only take special paper for the printer, and they're just draining the finances of these religious groups. And 3 of the women who had worked as tops of the sales management have quit to start their own rival company. One is an Orthodox woman who's been kicked out of her family because she's queer. One's a Mormon woman who's left the faith because of opposition to the Equal Rights Amendment. And one's a nun who's left her order because she's become involved with the liberation theology movement in Central America. And they're fighting for the soul of the PC.
Interesting. Wow. Okay, and the personal computer obviously had a huge impact too. We were talking about that on the 80s and 90s. Today, you touched on this too, but how do you think AI is going to shape the future? I feel like it's always in the news. Everyone's talking about it.
Well, I think AI is going to be the asbestos in the walls, right? I don't think that AI can do 99.98% of the things that it's claimed to do, but just because an AI can't do your job, it doesn't mean that a fast-talking AI salesman can't convince your boss to fire you and replace you with an AI that can't do your job. And so we're going to end up with all of these crappy chatbots doing spicy autocomplete, woven into our business processes, deciding who gets bail, who goes to jail, who gets a mortgage, who gets hired, who gets fired. You know, all of these kind of critical roles, especially now that we're having the mid-air unscheduled disassembly of the US government and its imminent replacement with AI. And it's not going to work, but it's still going to be stuck in there. And so we're going to be ripping this stuff out of the walls wearing hazmat suits for decades.
Wow, it's so interesting to hear your take on all this. And obviously we want everyone to read this book, but do you have anyone in particular that you're really hoping picks up this book?
Well, like every author, I hope everyone likes it.
Of course.
But it's, you know, there's an aspect of this book that is oriented around the nostalgia and the longing for those days of people my age. I'm a 53-year-old Gen Xer. But there's also something that's oriented around helping people living in today's world understand how we got here. So if you're a millennial or a Zoomer who can't imagine a world in which you just get to decide what software works on your computer instead of only being able to install software that's been like cleared through an app store that takes 30 cents out of the pocket of the software author for every dollar they make, this is a book to help you understand what could have been and what once was, and maybe what we can do again. You know, just because we took these policy choices in living memory to do these terrible things with technology, it doesn't mean we can't take new policy choices. You know, the internet as we have it today did not come down off a mountain with 2 stone tablets, right? We can make a new one.
Wow, so fascinating, so interesting. Thank you for being here today. We really appreciate it.